and welcome to The Curve. I'm Kat Leonard.
And I'm Megan Bradley.
You sure are.
Last I checked.
The Curve? It's true, we always check ourselves before we get in here. We checked everybody out and we're all good to go.
Right.
We are The Curve. We're a healthy deviation from the straight and narrow, and we like to focus on being healthy, great lifestyle, culture, and random shenanigans.
Yes.
Yes.
All while enjoying our self-esteem and confident.
And inclusivity for everyone.
Love it.
I love it too.
That's a good list.
Yes. Today, we are talking about autoimmunity.
Yes.
What it is.
Well, and you know a little bit about what it is.
I do. I'm in an autoimmune situation right now with something called Hashimotos that we'll get into.
Yes, and I'm looking forward to learning more about it because interestingly enough, I have 5 friends that are dealing with some form of autoimmune. So this is not as unheard of as we think.
Exactly, exactly. And we have to know there are some stages that are a little bit innocuous. You may not even have symptoms.
Okay.
But then it can also get very dark and very dire very quickly.
Yes.
And we're going to discuss with our guests today
Yes.
the triggers, how it comes about, how we can avoid it, and how we can possibly recover from it.
Yes.
Yeah.
So first off, we have Lise Winderschman joining us, and Lise has taken quite a journey, which she'll take us through. First of all, being diagnosed with Hashimotos, which is similar to your journey, but then later on found out that she had glutenataxia through her journey,
Brutal.
which was literally attacking her brain stem, and she had to go through a series of working with her motor skills to get them back, and how quickly, when you said it went dire quickly. And then we're also joined today by Dr. Sachin Patel, DC, and we'll explain why, but we'll not the doctor right away. And he's from Living Proof Institute. So
He's the founder, actually.
the founder of
Yeah.
Living Proof Institute. Wow.
We get our experts like expert.
So why don't I just stop talking?
Okay, Megan.
Yeah, I will do that. And let's get over to our guests.
Sachin, I want to ask, since Megan brought it up right now, why not doctor?
Well, if we look at our current healthcare system and the current healthcare paradigm, the word doctor actually means teacher. And I feel that patients actually leave with more questions than when they came in. And there's a lot of confusion, a lot of misinformation, and the word doctor is very regulated in a way that it limits what the practitioner can say and do for the client that's sitting in front of them. I coach practitioners, and the #1 concern that they have is, what is my board going to say? So what they apply in their personal lives and what they do for their family members is different than what they do in clinical practice. And it's not because of what they don't know, so it's not a lack of information or ignorance, it's because of what they're allowed to say and do.
Liability-wise?
Liability-wise, and we have something called the standard of care. And the standard of care dictates the service that you get. And our entire system is diagnosis-centered. And what that means is once you have a diagnosis, your entire treatment is centered around that diagnosis, assuming foolishly that that diagnosis occurs in isolation. Right? That same blood goes everywhere. So the same blood that's attacking your thyroid may be attacking other organ systems in the body. And so the word doctor is very restrictive. It's very overregulated, and it's instilling a lot of fear in practitioners, so they can't actually tell their patients what actually needs to be said. And they can't think outside the box, because they themselves, just like the patient is confined inside the box of the diagnosis, the practitioner is confined inside the box of regulation.
Well, and I think it's really important to be your own advocate, to know more about your condition than your doctor may know, because you're the one dealing with it 24 hours a day. You're the one that benefits from healing. My aunt always will ask the doctor, what would you recommend to your mother? Let's get outside of this box. You know, but you really have to take control of it yourself as a
Within the
patient.
10-minute consultation, if you're lucky enough to have a 10-minute consultation, because I think they're also restricted by time.
Well,
you just don't have the time to explore.
Here's the thing, the value of the consultation is $0, no matter how much time you spend, if the patient doesn't take action when they leave. So the true value starts when you leave the office. And the other thing to keep in mind is our philosophy is that the doctor of the future is the patient. So if we really want to solve this healthcare crisis we're in, it's not more people seeing more doctors. Because by the time you get to the doctor and are diagnosed under their criteria for disease, it's oftentimes too late and you have limited options. Whereas what we believe is, let's just teach people how to get healthy, stay healthy, interact congruently with their environment and their genetics, and then let's just see what the human potential is. Right now, the human potential is the lowest it's ever been. If you think about the toxicity, if you think about the stress that we're under, the misinformation. You know, information these days is worthless. It's wisdom that we're seeking. It's wisdom that we want. And so seeing somebody or working with somebody should provide you with a sense of, you know, self-care. How do I take care of myself? How do I interact better with my environment? How do I change the dialogue that I'm having with my body? Because one of the things that I've learned over the years is if your body's attacking itself, where are you attacking yourself? So as is the microcosm, so is the macrocosm. And we can change the way your body signals to itself by changing your thoughts. And this has been well established. I can make you laugh and feel happy and feel joyous, and your chemistry in your body changes, right? If we did blood work at a time like that versus a time when you were stressed out, your chemistry would change. So
there's that mind-body connection.
Well, it's so important, and I don't think people really understand the value and the truth to it. But neuroplasticity is something that people should really look into, because now we're getting really hard data about the results. Lise?
Yeah, I'm hard data on that.
You are. What the heck happened to you and your body and your mind?
Well, and I agree with everything Sachin's saying here. It's that whole mind, body, soul connection. You have to look at every component of, you know, how am I thinking? What's my career? What path am I taking? And for me, in 2011, I wasn't feeling well. I hadn't been feeling well for a long time, but you don't put all the puzzle pieces together.
Right.
And I got a call from the doctor's office, and it said, you have a thyroid issue. But they didn't say anything, and they said, you're going to be on medication. And I didn't even get a call. I said, can I come in and talk to the doctor? No, there's no time. We're just going to call this medicine into your pharmacy. And all I heard was medicine. I didn't hear, this is a hormone that your body's lacking. I didn't hear all the components of it. All I know is I don't want to be on a medication for life that I know nothing about. I was never told you have an autoimmune disease, because that wasn't tested properly. So my story is quite common for pretty much most people I know with Hashimoto's, is they're not diagnosed, or they're misdiagnosed or undiagnosed for years. So how you handle, you know, that situation is getting all the facts. And it takes a lot of homework, and I believe we have to do our health homework. We have to do our mind, body, and soul homework and say, how did I get here? You know, and my body started falling apart. You could say any day there might be 30, 40, 50 symptoms of things that were happening and breaking down. And you have to start doing your homework and getting it one at a time and building that up. And I say fake it till you make it in your mind. Like when you're in so much pain and not feeling well every day, you're like, okay, I got to change this in my mind. Because if I can start rebuilding it in my mind, I can start rebuilding it in my world and my body and change the whole thing.
Is it true that once you've got one condition, your body's attacking one part, that it'll go into a cascade effect into more parts?
Yes. So about 50% of people who have one autoimmune condition have another. The thing to keep in mind, and the thing to take into consideration, is that we all have antibodies. Antibodies are normal. That's why you'll never see the reference range being 0, right? The reference range for thyroid antibodies is 40 or less. So we have some, but it's when these antibodies are being triggered by cytokines, which are the protein messengers that actually tell the antibodies to attack the tissue, that's when it becomes a problem. Most people, when they get screened, they don't get screened for every tissue in their body. It's not practical, it's not sensible, it's not affordable. They get screened for whatever their symptoms are presenting. And so, for example, the thyroid is what we call the canary in the coal mine. It's usually one of the first organs to be identified as an autoimmune impacted organ, because it's got such a small reserve. So the bucket for your thyroid is very small. It's a very sensitive organ to your environment, to your food, to the immune system. Whereas other organs can be attacked, but it might take years, in some cases decades, for that autoimmunity to actually show up and present itself as symptoms. So for many years, people will have a pre-symptomatic or asymptomatic development of their condition. And your organs have tremendous reserve, so we might not even know until very late in the process that these organs aren't working the way they're supposed to. And then you get evaluated, and then there has to be enough damage for you to qualify to get the diagnosis.
And can you impress upon us how important thyroid is to the whole organism?
Well, every cell in your body has a receptor for thyroid hormone. So that in and of itself should tell you the significance of it.
Yeah.
So when somebody's thyroid isn't working properly, the main thing that people will notice is a decrease in metabolism. And that's one of the first signs that people have. They'll feel tired, they'll start gaining weight, their digestive system slows down, so they might feel constipated. And some people attribute a lot of these things to having kids or just being under a tremendous amount of stress, but it could be those things coupled with low functioning thyroid. And so that's where it starts, is what we call common symptoms, right? it's common for women these days to feel tired. It's common for women these days to gain some extra pounds. It's common for women to have tremendous amounts of stress. So you go to your doctor, and your doctor is just as stressed out and just dealing with the same issues as you are, so they can't be empathetic towards that.
Because they're being treated the same way that they're treating you, essentially.
Right, and what's common and what's normal are two different things.
Okay.
Right, so it's common for people to feel tired. It's common for people to have poor sleep and low energy, but it's never normal to have those things. And so it starts with a careful self-assessment. I think all of us should have a good sense of awareness of our own health and our bodies. And from there, find a practitioner or find someone that's going to work with you, not just your diagnosis.
Now, how can we ask our regular doctor for a thyroid check? Can we just walk in and say, I'd like to have my thyroid checked? Will they do it, or do we have to present some kind of symptoms in order for them to do it?
So because 90% of thyroid disease is Hashimotos, it's assumed that you have Hashimotos.
Okay.
So it's never tested for, because it doesn't change the treatment. So they're very rarely going to test you for something that doesn't change the protocol. The only protocol in the medical system for thyroid disease is Synthroid, or levothyroxine, or in some cases Armour. That's the only treatment, whether you have antibodies or not, right? Because they're approaching this from a disease standpoint, not from a process standpoint.
And is that what you were prescribed initially?
I would assume it would have been that.
Yeah.
But again, no other factors would have been taken into consideration. The fact that my hair was falling out, I was nauseous every day, my hormones were up and down. I was working out to feel great. I never was going to the gym to lose weight. That was never my goal. But, I'm going off a treadmill, flying into the wall, and thinking, should I call 911 because I have no energy? So it was, so many other factors were being affected that one little pill every day was not going to fix it. It wasn't enough. I had to, like I always tell people, our immune systems, the majority of it is in our stomach.
Yes.
So to fix this area is like painting your car really, really nice shiny red when your transmission's about to fall through the floor. That's the way I like to talk about it.
It's a great analogy.
It is, because we have to look at the core. And for me, my stomach, I knew I had major stomach issues. I had, the warning signs for me were a lot of allergies. I couldn't touch a pet. I couldn't, have any spring allergies,
Well, there's a lot of symptoms here that we have to look at. You're probably thinking, oh my gosh, I think I have that. We're going to take a break right now so you can ponder that, but don't be alarmed. Just be aware, and we're going to talk about treatments and how we can get out of this.